All right, let's start bringing it on back. All right, do we have any military people in the room? All right, can we get an applause for our military people? All right, so our next speaker is Fausto Molinet, and 14 years with the Air Force, so thank you for your service. And he is going to talk to you about physical and cybersecurity issues.
Great, thanks. Is this on? Or is this on? This on? This on? I'll use this. Great, thank you very much. My name is Fausto Molinet. I work for Motorola Solutions as of right now. Back in 2020, they acquired us from a company called Delta Risk. Delta Risk, we did a lot of things. If I've talked to you before, you'll know that I'm in risk management, cybersecurity risk management specifically. And so one of the things that we talk about when we talk about cybersecurity, we talk about physical security. How important is physical security? How important is physical security? I've got really smart people on my team that can break into any kind of computer over any kind of wire and do all sorts of really cool things. But at the end of the day, if you let me into your building, I can get on your network no matter what. No matter what kind of protections you have in place. It all comes down to the people. So what we're going to do today, if my computer doesn't go to sleep, and we're going to go through basically stories about what we've experienced throughout our time doing physical penetration testing. Raise your hand if you've had a physical penetration test done in your environment that you know of. Anyone want to describe kind of what it was that you had? Anyone? The closest one I saw a hand was here. Yeah? Okay. So was it blind? So they were able to get in, but with supervision. So they weren't able to just break in. Was it blind, or did they get any other information? So they just okay. So what is? Does anyone not know what a penetration test is? Okay. Like real quick, we get hired to go and break into your building, into your facility, into specific places. You say, hey, look, my headquarters, I think is very vulnerable. We've got a lot of people going in and out. Or maybe this radio site all the way out in the middle of nowhere. Can you go and break in, or see how you could go and break in? And then let us know, because we might have some vulnerabilities that we weren't aware of, so we want to fix those. Because if I can break in, the bad guy can break in too, right? So if I could get the slides on the screen. It's not working? Okay, so it was working before when we tested, so let's retest. I got nothing. Stand by. Okay. Do that again. Okay. That one. There we go. Thank you. And that's what's going on. Okay, we'll do this the old-fashioned way. So, can we see that? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit, already talked a little bit about who I am, why you should trust us. I'm going to do a case study. We're going to talk about a specific penetration test that we did. on a police headquarters. You would think that a police headquarters is very secure. They found out a little differently. So then we can, and I want to talk about a little bit of the process that we go through. I want to talk about some common things I see in your world, and I want to have a little bit of interactive session, even hands-on if you're willing to come up here. And I've got some of the tools that I use in various penetration tests that you can take a look at, but we'll get there, and if we have enough time. So again, who am I? Fausto Molinet. About 20 years experience-ish in cybersecurity in various fields between the Air Force, my time with Delta Risk and Motorola. I do, not only do I do penetration testing, but I also do risk assessments, so I can just go into your organization, see where your risks are, talk about how you can mitigate them. I've done this to banks, insurance companies, again, police headquarters, radio systems, municipal systems, water utilities, and whatnot. Fortunately for me, there's not been a place I've not been able to get into some way, shape, or form. Again, even if it's some kind of supervisory, hey, I can't let you break this lock, but how would you break this lock if you were to do that? And I would show them various ways I would break the lock, and we would walk in. We have a couple of people on our team. I've blurred out their faces because, you know, to protect the innocent, protect the guilty, and or just to make sure that if you ever do want to hire us, that you're not clued in as to who these people are. But Prybar there in the middle, she's one of our least experienced people. She is an absolute natural. She just walks in and people just open the doors for her. She has that personality, that charisma. She also has the most devious mind I've ever seen. So she can come up with some really interesting things. And actually, she is the star of the story that we'll go through here in a bit. And we've got some other guys on the team, you know, between the guy that wrestles alligators for a living, the other guy that does some other kind of stuff that I can't really talk about in here. These people are just absolute professionals in what they do, and you're going to see some of the effects of what they've been able to accomplish. So this is an anonymized case study. I can say with certainty that this police headquarters that we're going to go through wasn't anyone in here. So and actually it wasn't even this country. That being said, so again, physical penetration, what is it? Simulated, a real world. It's either usually unscripted and blind, meaning I don't have any other information, any inside information as to what your organization looks like, other than what I could get from just being a bad person. So we want to make sure that that's very realistic. So we look at where we can succeed in getting in, and where we can exploit the vulnerabilities. And when I say vulnerabilities, I usually mean people and their kindness, and I'm sorry for that. So we look for physical barriers and we say, hey, how can I get around this physical barrier? How can I exploit some weakness in it itself? Or how can I get somebody to just let me in, open the door for me? And so that we get these results into a report for you, so you can say, look, if this guy was able to do this, where do I need to patch it? You know, do I have this same kind of vulnerability somewhere else? So when we walk through an organization, again, in this case, a police station, we do Google, right? We just Google it. Start Googling, we're doing Google Maps, we do Google searches, we do Facebook searches, and we're going to go through some of the things that we find when we see that. So I get maps, and Google has done a really, really, really good job of getting detailed imagery of all sorts of places and all sorts of things that I can see. So I don't think, does this have a laser pointer in it? But if you see on the left-hand side there, we get images of the inside of the building, the lobby. How many organizations have a picture of their lobby on their front page for, hey, look at our new lobby, it's just been renovated. And I can see where the security guard is, and I can see where maybe people go in and out, and take advantage of that. I'm going to look at parking lots and see where I can hang out and hide out for a while I watch things that are going on, where I can watch where people take breaks. Smoke breaks are great. I'm not a smoker, but sometimes I smoke so that I can go and hang out at that smoke break. I get to be friends with some of the people that are hanging out there. Oh yeah, I'm new here, I'm just, chilling out. Man, talk about it's budget cuts, huh? Because there's always budget cuts. And then eventually they're like, oh, you know what, got to get back to work. And I just walk right in, follow the person in. In this particular case, that happened several times at a police station. If you notice there's a vehicle entry, if you see on the right-hand side of the screen there, really telling about how I can walk into a normally secured area as well. A lot of those little entry gate things that allow you to get in based on like either a badge card or something like that. So I'll know that you have badges at that facility. But more importantly, I can tell what kind of door opener that is, and I can probably find a key for it, because it might not have been rekeyed. So if we're looking at all of the different things, we're doing more online reconnaissance, we're looking for places in the, gaps in the fence that I can go and say, you know what, that fence, that I'd have to go through a security guard, I could just walk right in that little gap there, hang out, maybe even take somebody's, keys if they leave them in their car, or, opportunistic things like that. So I'll look for things that I can exploit. Again, either carelessness, people not paying attention, or just kindness. We'll talk about the kindness in a second. So the interior lobby, based on some of the sketches that we saw, some of the online photos, they're saying, hey, this is our place, this is our awesome lobby, we're nice, come and see us. I was able to see, hey, there's a security desk right there, hey, there's a badged door there and there. And so I know that if I can go through that security, through that badged door, I'm going to have to find out when people are going through that so I can watch them. So I was able to, we'll get there in a second. Still online. Facebook pages. Does anyone sanitize your Facebook pages? Does anyone have a policy to hide your badge when you go outside or when you're about to take a picture for some kind of public event? These folks didn't, or at least they let it slip. So we got some really, really good pictures of those badges, and we're able to make up not only a visitor badge like this, but actual scan badges. I'll be honest with you though, 9 times out of 10, this gets me right in. This blank badge. I'll just walk up and be like, hey, my badge isn't working right now. I'm from the other department, jurisdiction, or whatever. Oh yeah, here's the door open, come on. As long as I don't look like a criminal, I'm usually going to be able to get right in, especially if I'm carrying some things, or if I look like I have something, a reason to be there. Or if I just tailgate in and walk right behind somebody and have this dangling from a red or whatever colored lanyard is at that location, nobody questions it, because people are usually very cautious about questioning you. They don't want to make you feel bad about, like, where's your badge? Who are you? I feel like I should know you because you work here, and I'm going to be embarrassed if I don't know your name or if I don't know your face. Again, exploit the kindness of people. But regardless, based on those images, we were able to make up some of these badges and print them out at Staples, I think. When they looked at them, and they were like, wow, from this close, it looks really obvious, but from 5 feet away, you would never tell. So just a little Photoshop goes a long way. Then we get on site. So we're able to take some pictures. Maybe if I wasn't able to get a really good badge picture on the internets, I'm able to come and walk next to you. And if you have your badge out, I take my cell phone and I take a little image of it. And then I get a little bit closer and I say, oh yeah, hey, what's going on? If I have one of those, if it's who's heard of the Flipper? The Flipper Zero? Yeah. So that's kind of like a really toy, right? And so it's this little RF thing. Actually, I have one here. So if you happen to see somebody holding a little white or orange or black device like this, shaped like this, ask them about it, please. This will read a badge, or most of the badges. It'll read a lot of other things as well. It's just like a little Swiss Army toolkit. If you want to play with this later, let me know. There's some more sophisticated ones that I don't have access to. I don't have the funds for it. But whereas this can read this badge from like right here, these other ones can read them from right there. So if I get close enough to you to be able to get your badge details and credentials, then I'm going to program my own badge and walk in. So again, right, so if I can get close enough to you, then the bad guy can too, because we all look the same. All right, so we go and sit. Based on the online reconnaissance, I know now in this place where I can go and sit and probably nobody's going to be bothering me. Nobody's going to be looking at me. Nobody's going to be questioning me. And I can sit there for a day or so, not only to become familiar with the organization, but to see what the traffic patterns are. When does everyone walk in? Is everyone badging? And if somebody doesn't badge in and then walk behind in, called tailgating if you've heard of it, if they're tailgating, is there any alarms that go off as a result? And somebody's like, oh yeah, that's right. Are those man traps where you have to, person traps that you have to say, hey, badge in and then open the gate and then it closes? So I can sit there and watch for all of these different things. And so I can now understand your environment a lot better. So where can I reconnoiter? Reconnoiter. It's reconnaissance. Have you ever heard this? The active verb of reconnaissance is reconnoiter. Did anyone know that? It was fascinating to me. I love language. So anyways, areas of loitering, I can talk on my phone. I can pretend to talk on my phone while I'm standing outside, either the smoke pit or the gate, and I'd be like, yeah, so-and-so, 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 and then wait for my opportunity where somebody's walking in and not paying attention to who I am because they want to respect my privacy, and so I walk in right after them. I'm like, yeah, gotta go, thanks, bye. Disguises. An emblem on a shirt goes a long way too. Have you ever noticed that? If you see somebody in your building and they have the same shirt that you have, you don't pay them much attention. Goodwill is awesome for what I do. So I go to Goodwill and I'll pick up a shirt. I'll pick up a t-shirt. Now some organizations, this is real fun. I went to a bank and I was able to get in through the guards and do all the things that I'm talking about right now. And actually there was a company store in the basement and I was able to get all the gear. I got lanyards, I got shirts, I got hats. And so later when we talked to the people who were in charge and they looked at me and somebody introduced me, they're like, yeah, this is Fausto, he's new here. He's like, oh, great, yeah, nice to meet you. And I had the badge on, the shirt. He's like, okay, you're already all fitted out. So where are you working? I'm like, I'm not. I'm actually on the job here and I just broke in. So let's talk about that and all the things that we did. So anyway, so Goodwill. Think twice about sending your, county polo to the Goodwill when you're done with it. All right. There we go. All right, so here was the ruse. So we did our reconnaissance. And we looked at people, we watched everything, and we did. We noticed that people were just walking in, right? So we got, mostly plainclothes cops, but they were just all walking in through those doors, bypassing the security desk. It was the front door, front entry. We don't usually like to use the front entry the first time because that's usually when we're trying to test out to see what you would do if you actually caught us. Because sometimes they have metal detectors and a lot of other things. So that's why we usually go for the back, the loading docks, the smoke pits, and everything else. But in this particular case, it looked really easy. And so the notion was we were going to hang out outside on the phone and wait for an officer to go in the front door, and we were just going to follow him in. And Pry Bar did it, and she just walked right in. Once she was inside, we had communications, and she was able to say, hey, I did it. It worked really well. I'm going to try it. And I said, okay, great. So I did the same thing. The ruse that she came up with was awesome. I never would have thought of this one. But, so she's in there. And she needs to get around the headquarters. You know, the ultimate target was to get as many places we could, get credentials, steal radios, which she did, a bunch of other things. So she got down to the loading docks and found a big pallet of paper, reams of paper, where she was able to just say, hey, great, I'm going to just take this and put it on a cart, and I'm going to go to every room and change out the printer paper as the new IT hire. I was like, that is just absolute genius. So she did. So the printers are in every office, and she walked into every single place and just checked off as she went, was able to look around, talk to people. I'm the new IT person, so I really don't know a lot, which is true, right? We don't know anything about the building and about the culture and everything else. So she was able to do a lot of things. One of the funnier things, I think it's in the slideshow, she was able to get into the data center. Now, so all these offices have printers. She was able to get back to the data center where there was a stack of keys. Like, you know, one of those lock boxes with the keys in it for all the different places, all the different locked areas that you don't want anyone to get into. Well, IT has to get in there. And she has access to the keys there. And so she's talking to them, and she's saying, hey, you know, this and this, I'm new. And, oh, yeah, hey, real buddy. The guy walks away, so she grabs a key. Having a key is a lot easier than picking a lock, just FYI. All right. So, real quick, though. Printers. If you have printers in your organization, these are one of those fun things to exploit as well. We've got smart printers and we've got dumb printers. Those smart printers, if you don't have your IT department lock them down, I can go in there and use the default password, do some things like, hey, every printout, send it to this email address as well. Or, you know, just print out the last 5 things that were printed out. I want a recopy of them. So printers are fun for us to mess around with. If you're not sure if your IT section has locked it down, if you have to put a pin in to print to release your print job, then they've locked it down. If that's not the case, then you might want to ask somebody just out of curiosity. All right. So she's hanging out in the break room, you know, becoming familiar with the area, having people become familiar with her, and like, they're all sitting around, all happy. And she was using that time to craft her second ruse. Her second ruse was to go and take inventory checks for all of the different areas, right? So she's like, okay, you know, I'm going to type up a little inventory check, and so I can get in further, I can, you know, get a little bit more information. She was able to go ahead and print it out on one of those printers because they were locked down. And then she had a stack of paper and she walked around with that and said, hey, I'm just doing inventory checks here. I need to get back into this console cabinet here, this equipment here, and then check out this keyboard. And, oh, just if you could just, I know you're locked in, but just could you move out of the way so that I can do some stuff down here, right? So she can be able to put in some USB drives into those machines or anything else, right? Because she had a purpose of being there and doing those things. And people want to be helpful because you're just doing your job. So she did. Like I said, data center. These are not actual images. I had to obfuscate them, obviously. So AI generated, to be honest with you. But yeah, so she was able to take out the keys and go to anywhere she wanted. And the data center is one of those places that really needs to be well locked down. You know, that's where the heart of your information operations are. Sometimes it's where your badge readers are. If we can get in there and the bad guy can get in there, they can do a lot of damage, a lot of irreversible damage too. Okay, so she's keeping walking around. Now she's got inventory checks. She's going to check the radios. She's going to grab a few of them. I think the place where she actually grabbed the radios from was one of the special units that had encrypted channels and whatnot. So is this bad? This sounds like a bad thing, right? But she was able to do that. And again, right, there's this false sense of perimeter security. I have to badge in to get into work. Maybe I even have to have a badge and a pin to get into the building. So this building's secure. Everyone in this building should be here. They're supposed to be here. Unless they don't look like they're supposed to be here, then they're out of place. But if I don't recognize them, I'm just assuming that you're supposed to be here. So that false sense of security is one of the other things that we exploit all the time. In this particular case, there was a lot of badge readers inside the building too, but the doors were propped open because people got sick of hitting the badge every time they wanted to open the door. What does they say? Friction is the enemy of security. So, Keith, you were saying yesterday, operations. You know, the secret to security is make it usable by the people, right? Because otherwise they'll find ways around it, or they'll get annoyed by it and petition to have it, changed, right? I don't want to have to put in my PIN every time I unlock my computer, something like that. Or one of my favorites is if I go to a video center or an organization where they have cameras everywhere and they have people looking at the cameras, and I see this one camera, it's out. Like, hey, there's nothing on that screen up there. And like, why is that? Oh, there's a leaf that just keeps getting in the way of the camera and it keeps setting off the alarm, so we turned it off. Well, it doesn't really do much good, does it? So that complacency, that adapting to the annoyance is again, the area that we exploit. So I mentioned, the interior gates. This was a fun one, actually, I'm glad I put that on there. There was a handicap and accessibility and safety. Those are three things that also help me do my job. In this particular case, we were watching a lot of people. They were walking up to the badge door, because there were some that they couldn't prop open. They would hit the badge, and then they would hit the handicap button, so that they wouldn't have to pull open the door. Now, that handicap button, it's important to be there, right? Very important. But it was so slow. I mean, it was so slow. It was, I think we timed it. It was about 45 seconds of being open, right? And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, that guy is gone, and I'm able to walk right by without him even seeing it. How many people else were able to go through that door as it was open as well? I see this a lot on vehicle entries as well. The door stays, the gate stays open just a little too long for it just to be really easy to either walk in or drive and tailgate right in. So these are things to look for, right? Okay, so that was a police headquarters. Again, you think of police headquarters as being some of the very most secure places, and if you're following the rules, they really are. But if you break the rules and if you find these exploits, they might not be. It's that sense of security, that false sense of security that we sometimes rely on. So, and I don't actually know where all of you are from and where your areas of responsibility are. I know some fire, I know some police, I know some county level stuff. Now, was that relevant? If that was relevant to you, please raise your hand. Okay. Wow, that hit a lot more than I thought. Okay, great. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the radio side, because that's actually one of the most common places that I go and do some stuff. And so we're going to see some of the more generic things with what we most commonly see in these areas. All right. That looked weird. Okay. All right. No, that's it. All right. So picking, jumping, shimming, and crash bars. Anyone know how to pick a lock? How long does it take you to pick an average lock? 15 seconds? Maybe? It's a good one. Depends on the lock. Again, what's easier than picking a lock is not having to pick the lock because I have a key, or there's other bypass techniques, or I just break the dang thing if I want to, right? That being said, people have seen that a lot, right? That gate to limit vehicle traffic to your RF site. Well, yeah, that lock picking is an easy way to do that. I could also just walk over it, right? But if I wanted to get my vehicle in there, I need to pick it or do something else, right? We can also jump over fences. We don't even have to deal with the lock. I can just jump over that fence. Now, that was actual footage of the actual site that we were talking about. Ask me if they saw that. They didn't. There was a training session right before where we were on that radio site. It was a SWAT training. I think it was a combination SWAT riot disbursement thing or some sort. And yeah, nobody saw that. So both she and I jumped over and back over the fence, waved at the cameras that were there, said, hey, come catch us, come stop us, because at this point, we were just tired of doing everything else. Shimming. Door latches. I don't have to pick that lock because I can slide this little piece of metal in there, and if that latch is not quite installed right, this wasn't me, by the way. I can show you on some of these doors later a properly installed lock and latch. But as you can see, he's having a little trouble with that, but with enough time and enough flexibility in that, with that shim that he's got there, he's able to open that door. Anyone know what it is? So you lock pickers, you should know what these are. When I say dead latch, do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, I know you do. Yeah, all right, so we're going to get to it on a second here. Oh, we missed it. It happened so quick. Dead latch is what prevents that thing from happening. So we'll talk about how locksmiths don't understand their own locks sometimes, or general contractors don't understand the workings of a lock. So they'll just make it work. But some of these little nuances get overlooked. Crash bars. I'm going to pause here, actually, because this is important. Whoops. So you look around the building here, right? Just around the room. You see these crash bars on all the doors. Now, crash bars are there for a very important reason, right? If that door was locked from the outside, so nobody can just walk in here, but if we need to evacuate really quickly, I'm not going to say the word because we're not supposed to do that. But if we needed to evacuate, we'd want to be able to push that bar open even if that door is locked, right? Safety thing, right? So from the outside, it's hard to see. Maybe I can, oh, look at that, I can do that. Anyone see these things before that he's using? This little Home Depot thing, these are the greatest things. I couldn't find mine, I didn't bring it with me. But But basically, it's like this little air pad that you just slide into something, maybe a window of a door, a door of a car or something, and you pump it up, and you can make a small gap even bigger, right? And so, what do you see on the other side of that glass clear window? See a crash bar. Anyone know what that is that he's got there? Sure, it's an L. Yeah, it's an L bar. Yes, it's a paint roller. You got it from Home Depot. Far too often. Far too often. That one right there, this little bit right here, on the lower right-hand corner, that's a plastic shim similar to the metal one that he's using over there. It's just a little easier to maneuver around. If you notice though that there's a little speaker on that, that's one of those alarmed doors, actually very similar to the ones that are up here. The battery had died. All right, so let's talk about these dead latches that I was talking about. If you look really carefully here, on that left-hand picture, you'll see them, and if you look at your own home doors or your own building doors, the latches, you'll see maybe there's more than one little bit that moves around. The idea is that the bit that can move around makes its way into that little orifice on the frame of the door, right? That's how the latch works, and so you turn the knob and you open that door. Now, the other little bit should stay, shouldn't extend into that orifice. That other little bit's called a dead latch, and what that dead latch does is that prevents those shimming things from happening, right? It allows the door to close without me turning the knob to close it, but once that's there, I can't just move and manipulate the latch anymore to just open it without needing a key or to turning the knob and whatnot. So again, I can probably show you on that door over there to the restrooms if you're interested, and we can talk about it later. It's just a little tougher to show on the screen here. Second picture. Anyone know why some doorknobs have that levery look rather than a little knobby knob that I'm more familiar with? Exactly. Another handicap accessible exploit in the making. So what was it a year ago? It was a couple of years ago. It was really big on the news of people going to hotels and doing, they call it the under the door attack. Anyone see this? So that they run a wire under the door. They latch onto it with a magnet, or they can actually just manipulate it because it's a stiff wire, and they pull that wire, this thing going all the way up on the inside of the door. Again, you don't have to badge out or like unlock your door at a hotel room. You just hit the handle. Well, these people doing this particular attack, will latch onto that little lever and pull it down and open up as if somebody was just letting them in from the inside. So, like, well, Fausto, how do I fix that? We can't get around the safety things. Do you see that? Do you see that little doodad up top there? Those three little lines? This was just brilliant. If I install that little doodad right on that latch so that the latch can still go, but I can't loop a little wire around it, I've just defeated that. You follow? I get that down there. Oh, I can point out with my mouse. I get this down here. I put this little thing so it prevents a loop from going over this part right here. And that thing is this little closet track that you get, again, at Home Depot. Okay? It's an easy fix, but you just didn't know that that was a thing, that I can do that, right? Especially if I know that there's a lever on that side of the door. If there's a lever on one side of the door, I can be pretty sure there's a lever on the other side. If I can see it, it's even better. So I have windows. So if you've got windows, obfuscate them, right? Frost over them, close them up, or whatever. But if you have that situation, ask me about how this works, and I'll show you. Again, I can show you on that door even, easy. The right-hand side there, what is that, $10 worth of metal that you can just put right in front of the door so that you've blocked out or at least slowed down significantly the people that are trying to get in by some of those attacks, or even just an angle grinder. They've got at least that much more metal to go through. Does this make sense? I mean, it's kind of like easy stuff, but you don't know to look for it. I guarantee you that the bad people do. Now we've got drones. Okay, so how do I fight the drones? You can't. I'm sorry, but it's another thing that we use sometimes. The problem is, though, this particular office, I want to say it was, I think that was the CEO's office, and this is the point at which we got caught because he heard the drone and he's like, all right, guys, enough. But his computer screen was facing the window. So we could watch, look at his habits. We could take screenshots of the computer screen, corporate secrets, yada yada, all this other stuff. So even though I can't do anything about the drones themselves legally, without filing complaints and everything else, but I can't shoot them out of the sky, make it harder for us to find. How am I doing on time? I'm sorry. Oh, 5-minute warning. All right. Common misconceptions or beliefs. I've heard this so many times. We're not Fort Knox. I'm not asking you to be Fort Knox, but at the same time, is what's at stake even worse than Fort Knox? Right? If I take out your radio systems, your CAD, your call handling systems, and somebody dies as a result of it, that's pretty bad. I'd rather get gold stolen. So yeah, we're not Fort Knox, but you need to be. You need to look at your threat profile. You need to look at the fact that, and you're right, in ways you're not Fort Knox. Not everybody wants to do that. There's only some people that want to come in and disrupt your communications, but everybody wants gold. But you have a different threat profile, and you have different impacts, and you have different vulnerabilities associated with it. And even if you were Fort Knox, it's not like you're going to just lock up the door and not put a camera on it, right? All right, we have cameras. Who has cameras in their organization? Who can't have cameras in their organization? Okay. And so we've got cameras, but are you actually watching them? I go into a place and I say, hey, great, that's great. You have cameras all over the place. I see a camera there, and I saw a camera as I was walking in and everything else. Who's watching them? Oh, they're on the screen for this guy over here to do his job and also watch this cameras. And I'm like, all right, is that going to be good enough? Probably not, because they're going to get distracted. They're going to do some other stuff. And you test the cameras. Again, which ones are working, which ones aren't? Is there motion sensors on them? Can you correlate that alert with something else going on? Try it out yourself. Just go and see which cameras are working or not. Hey, we have a no tailgating policy. That's great that you have a policy. Try to enforce it. Either with technology, have alarms or whatever, or just encourage people, the stick and the carrot. You're in trouble if you allow tailgating in, or you get a bonus if you stop in for somebody to make them show your badge and to prove that they work there. Social engineering, again, social engineering is the best way in. I could have all the best defenses in the world. You'd have, the most secure organization. But if I get the right person on the phone or the right person to talk to, they'll let me in. Not me, because I'm not as friendly and personable as some of my people. All right. Since I'm getting the wrap it up sign, the interactive session can be conducted outside if you want. I have some other gadgets in my tool bag here if you want to take a look. Try your hat at picking a lock. But other than that, thank you. If you have feedback for this, I would really appreciate it because I'm going to be giving this presentation again, and I want to make sure that it's going to be value added to them if it wasn't as much value added to you. So thank you very much.